Nigerians will determine state police paramilitary system. Federal government to create job centers nationwide. Troops recover 2.6 billion naira crude oil, arrest 104 suspects on the spot. Babura honors Super Eagles goalkeeper Uwabeli with Rivers' highest honor, 20 million naira. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global TV. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. The First Lady Federal Republic of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, has urged Nigerians that irrespective of their ethnic and religious affiliations to set aside their differences and take advantage of the various diversities for rapid social economic development. Oluremi Tinubu gave the admonition in Abuja while addressing leaders and members of Customs Wives Association of Nigeria, COA, in Abuja. Oluremi, who was represented at the Customs Officers Wives Association relaunch investiture of patrons, patronism, fundraising by the wife of Chief of Defense Staff Ogogo Musa, admitted that Nigeria, like the United States, is made up of people with diverse cultural background and have used same to their own advantage. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
Speaking at the event, Oluremi Tinubu, who was represented by the POA President Ogogo Musa, charged stakeholders to invest more in women and also support women empowerment to aid in eradicating poverty in society. She further implored women to reevaluate themselves so as to incorporate the values into the younger generation, while commending the commitment and determination of COA in fostering friendship with officers' wives and Nigerian women at large.
Our shared political beliefs, but also our shared ideas and values. Values such as compassion, respect, integrity, and empathy. As women have a pivotal role to play, we are the nurturers and molders of the society. We must reevaluate ourselves and begin to incorporate these values into the younger generation. As homemakers, the well-being of the home rests heavily on our shoulders, and we must be the support system for our husbands to help them succeed at their jobs.
The president of COA, Kikelomo Adelin, says the aim of the association relaunch is to build relationship, partnership and friendship that will support luxury of communities to create job and support economic empowerment. Speaking on drugs abuse, Kikelomo says the association will support all relevant agencies to curb drug addiction through rehabilitation victims and patients.
Our primary drive is to build relationships, partnerships, and friendships that support the nurturing of LG communities, to alleviate poverty, create jobs, and support the economic empowerment of our members through initiatives that promote prosperity and economic opportunities. Since we came on board, we have identified many challenges facing the families of customs officers. These challenges include lack of decent housing for customs officers serving in remote border areas with their family, lack of access to decent and affordable schools for the children of customs officers serving in remote areas, need to economically empower the spouses of customs officers across the country, and a compelling need to launch an effective campaign against drug abuse across customs barracks.
Also, stakeholders at the event called for more synergy between customs and NDLEA towards tackling the menace of drug abuse.
The customs officers found this diligence is particularly evident in their recent collaboration effort with the NDLEA, which led to major interception of illicit drugs. This collective action not only protects our borders, but also preserve the future for our youth.
The high point of the occasion was the presentation of awards to patrons and of eminent personalities including the Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Worried by the security challenges in the country, the federal government and state governors are considering the adoption of the state police system to curb rising insecurity across the country. This was part of deliberations between President Bola Tinubu and state governors. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris disclosed this while briefing the State House reporters at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, after a meeting between President Bola Tinubu and governors. Uyi Agbomofuegbe bring us more detail.
The minister, who was joined at the briefing by Governors Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State, Uba Sani of Kaduna State, and Sheriff Uborewori of Delta State, explained that the process is still in its infancy and would only take shape after more deliberations between the stakeholders. According to him, the possibility of state police will further be discussed, adding that a lot of work needs to be done and that President and governors have agreed to work out the modalities.
A lot of issues were discussed about the security situation in the country, the apparent food issue that the media has also been reporting about, and some other measures that will help in improving the state of our nation. Now, the first point is that a committee, the governors and Mr. President have agreed to set up a committee to deepen the conversation that has happened at the just concluded meeting. Of course, you know that it is impossible to complete most of the issues that were raised at the meeting, so it's going to be a continuous one. Secondly, Mr. President and the governors have agreed that these kind of meetings will continue in the interest of our nation. It is important that all the time the federal government and the state governors, who are leaders at the sub-national level, to continue to engage and interact collectively so that issues of national importance will continue to be addressed and we don't leave room for any speculation or for people who may seize the opportunity to say things that are not in the interest of our country. First, the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the State Services, the Inspector General of Police have been directed to coordinate with the state governors to look at the issue of those holding commodities. At this point that the nation requires food to be brought out to the people so that we can control prices and put food on the table of most Nigerians. Other commodity traders are busy holding these commodities so that Nigerians will suffer or they will make more money as a result.
There has been clamor for state police as Nigeria grapples with worsening insecurity challenges such as kidnapping and banditry. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global Television News.
The federal government has ruled out the importation of foods as part of strategies to address the high cost of foodstuffs and economic hardship troubling the country. It has also set up a committee comprising the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the Department of State Services and the Inspector General of Police to clamp down on traders hoarding grains. This formed part of the resolution reached at an emergency meeting between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and state governors at the Aso Villa, Abuja. Assessing the government's action to tackle the hardship in the country, the All Farmers Association of Nigeria and the organized private supported the decision of the president and the governors not to adopt importation as a solution to the biting food crisis facing the nation. Over now to the Minister of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investments, Doris Uzoka Anete, has said the federal government will create national job centers to match available vacancies in industries and businesses with the available talent pool. The ministry stated that it would play a key role in the delivery of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8-point agenda for economic growth and job creation, access to capital, improving the playing field on which people and particularly companies operate, and ending poverty. Out of the 8-point agenda directly linked to the ministry, Uzoka Nete, in a statement, noted that job centers across the country would train and equip Nigerians to be job ready. The Supreme Court dismissed the federal government's appeal to overturn the Court of Appeal's decision, which cleared former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godsday Orubebe, of false asset declaration in 2015. Orubebe was arraigned for not disclosing his properties in the asset declaration forms submitted to the Code of Conduct Bureau during his tenure as a minister from 2007 to 2011. The offense was said to be contrary to Section 15 of the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal Act Cap 15 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and punishable under Section 23, subsection 2 of the same Act. The Senate has stated that Nigerians, through their various representatives, will be the ones to determine whether or not the country will adopt state and local policing as against the current federal structure currently in place, as well as the type of system of government to run. This was made known to our correspondent by the spokesperson of the Senate, Yemi Aderamodu, who maintained that the Senate could not form its opinion outside the views of Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had on Thursday, February 15, 2024, met with state governors and agreed on the creation of state and community police systems to put an end to the menace of insecurity robbing the nation of its peace. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Musa Dangiwa, has decried the insistent raise in the cost of cement and other building materials in the country, describing it as unacceptable. This sentiment was shared during a visit to his office in Abuja by delegation comprising members from the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA. According to a statement on the ministry's website, Dangiwa questioned the consistent and disproportionate rise in the price of cement, particularly given that cement producers in the country primarily obtain all their raw materials locally. The Nigerian Labour Congress says it will hold a 2-day nationwide protest over the hardship being experienced by Nigerians, as well as deteriorating security situations in the country. NLC President Joe Ajaero discloses during a press briefing in Abuja after an emergency meeting of the National Executive Council NEC of the Union. He says the protest will begin a week after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government, which will expire on February 23rd. Sharon Ajay has the details.
The organized labor lamented that millions of Nigerians are facing hunger, erosion of purchasing power, and insecurity due to reforms that drove up inflation. The planned days for the nationwide protest are February 27th and 28th, respectively.
NEC unanimously noted its deep disappointment and condemned the actions of the federal government in refusing to implement the agreements and reached the following decisions: that it stands on the ratify the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government within which to implement the agreement and address the mounting crisis of survival by Nigerians. That the notice expires on the midnight of Thursday, the 22nd day of February 2024. That if on the expiration Congress is not satisfied with government's compliance with the conditions of the notice, Congress will be at liberty to take action that will compel government to implement the agreement. That NEC in session declares a 2-day national protest on 27th and 28th of February to demonstrate outrage on the mounting hardship.
Africa's biggest economy is now grappling with a cost of living crisis, fueled by the highest inflation rate in nearly 3 decades. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
Over now to the Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Immigration Service, Department of State Services and Economic Financial Crimes Commission have begun a clampdown on smugglers and hoarders of food items nationwide by escalating border surveillance. This is coming after the organized labor declared a two-day protest against the current economic hardship in the country. Sources in the presidency and the NLC stated that the task force established by President Bola Tinubu to tackle food hoarding had heightened alert levels at Nigerians' land borders across Borno, Niger, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Jigawa states, describing them as dark. The development comes hours after an emergency meeting between the President, Vice President Kashim Shettima and state governors at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. The chairman of the Nigerian Lagos Congress, Ogun State Chapter, Hamid Benko, has commended Governor Dakpo Abiodun for being sensitive and responsive to the plight of workers in the state. Benko spoke at the presentation of two new 8-seater buses to the NLC and the National Union of Local Government Employees at the Governor's Office, Oke Mosun, Abeokuta. The NLC chairman, who spoke on behalf of the two unions, said the governor is a man who is bound by his words and genuinely committed to the plight of workers. The NLC chairman pledged the loyalty of workers to the Abiodun-led administration towards the optimal fulfillment of its Building Our Future Together mantra. The Oyo State government has shut down 6 health facilities across the state over quackery. The facilities sealed were 2 to have committed various offenses, including recruitment of unqualified personnel to provide medical services and engaging in illicit practices. Speaking during an inspection and monitoring exercise held within Ibadan Metropolis, the State Anti-Quackery Task Force Committee Chairman, Dr. Adekunle Aremu, said the team carried out the operations as part of government's efforts towards protecting the health and well-being of residents. He further stated that anyone found culpable would face the wrath of the law. He urged the public to report any suspicions or illegal activities in any health facility to the Ministry of Health or the nearest security agency. Moving on, the House of Representatives asked Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun to adopt community policing as outlined in Section 15 of the Nigerian Police Act 2020. The call followed the adoption of a motion on a matter urging public importance of Asama Ago, a member of the Labour Party from Plateau State. Ago noted that the House had passed several resolutions in the past with little or no improvement in the security situation in Plateau State. Ruling on the motion, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas mandated the House Committee on Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance to engage with the IG to ensure compliance and report back to the House within 4 weeks. Moving on now to the Nigerian Customs Service has denied allegations of impurity in the e-auction process for overtime seized goods. The service made its position known in a statement shared via its X handle on Saturday. It was responding to a report titled "The Monumental Stealing" by the Customs Auction Committee and their plans to dispose of overtime containers. The National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders 100% Compliance Team recently accused the NCS of auctioning over 300 vehicles to one individual through corrupt means, involving substantial underhand payments. President Defense and Police Wives Association Dipowa Ogogo Musa says the military will ensure that internally displaced persons, IDPs, reunite back to their ancestral homes. Ogogo, who is the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, gave the assurance during the presentation of palliatives to the IDPs in Durumi, Abuja. She says it is the initiative of the military in reaching out to the populace as well as honoring the internally displaced persons. Kike Lomo Kere has the details.
It is a moment of gratitude and relief showing on the faces of those receiving the palliatives. President, Defense Police Officers' Wives Association says the plight of the internally displaced persons serves as a reminder of the devastating impact of conflict and displacement on innocent lives, adding that it is a sobering reality that compels the association to act with urgency and humanity.
Extend beyond simply providing aid. It's about restoring dignity, offering solace, and nourishing hope amidst despair. Our mission is rooted in our commitment to serve all citizens, particularly those most vulnerable. As we witness the gratitude and relief on the faces of those receiving assistance. Let us be reminded of the healing power of compassion and its ability to mend wounds and revive faith in humanity.
She added that the initiative is to restore dignity and providing comfort, as well as offering a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair.
Behind the Renewed Hope Initiative, for her tireless efforts in uplifting humanity and empowering women and children out of poverty. Let us hold on to hope, trusting that our armed forces will spare no effort in reuniting you with your families and communities.
The chairman of the camp, Ibrahim Amadou, appreciates the military and the chief of defense staff for the benevolence, saying the provision of food items will go a long way to alleviate their plight.
In fact, and indeed, we have about 3,400 plus IDPs at the Dreaming IDPs camp, which is the biggest of the 18 camps in Abuja. Well, even before coming today, we know they are trying because we know how they have been impacting on the war against the terrorists. So today's event, like previous one 2 years ago by General Lucky Rabo and Mami Victoria, we are happy that today we are remembered too by the Defense Department, Defense Ministry. So in addition to sacrificing their lives to defend us, they also spared time to reach out to us who are victims of the insurgency, to our children, our wives, and other people. So we are happy receiving them today.
The camp, which had about 3,400 IDPs from 8 states, was presented with the items comprising bag of rice, grains, carton of Indomie, among others. The POA president reiterated the commitment of the association to strengthen the welfare of the families of the internally displaced persons. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kike, for that report. Defense Police Officers' Wives Association, DPOA, in collaboration with the Partnership for Eradication of Cancer in Africa, has joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Cancer Day. Speaking at the event, DPOA President Ogogo Musa said the event, tagged Close the Care Gap, is aimed at taking proactive steps to combat cancer by sensitizing and conducting cancer-free for military wives. Sharon Ajay is with the rest of the story.
According to data from World Health Organization, the number of new cancer cases globally will reach 35 million by 2050, which is 77% higher than the figure in 2022, noting that there is an estimated 20 million new cancer cases and 9.7 million deaths in 2022. President, Defense Police Officers' Wives Association says the event is aimed to advocate for improved access to healthcare services for cancer patients. She says it is a routinization of cervical and breast cancer screening, a substantial step towards early detection, timely intervention, and ultimately saving lives.
Mark this day, we must acknowledge the reality that cancer knows no boundaries. It affects individuals and communities worldwide, regardless of age, gender, socioeconomic status. Making this screening a frequent part of healthcare service will empower individuals to take charge of their health, detect cancer at its earliest stage, and assess the care and support they need. But our efforts must continue. Closing the care gap requires a collective commitment to raising awareness.
In his remark, the Commander Defense Headquarters Medical Center, Surgeon Captain Victor Ibuezu, says cancer remains a global threat due to access to diagnosis and treatment, adding that early detection and prompt intervention will save lives.
So what we are doing today, what the POA and their partners are doing today is the right thing. They've lent their voice, they've lent their hands with the global voice that's aimed at closing the gap, reducing the inequality in terms of healthcare, reducing that gap in terms of healthcare, in management of cancer. Because it is believed that when this gap is closed, the access to early screening, detection, and treatment will eventually save the lives of the greater parts of Africa and generally.
Some of the patients at the event call on the federal government to subsidize the cost of medical so as to allow the vulnerables to have access to drugs.
And then for the government, let them make our drugs cheaper. I know that a lot of things has been happening. They've been doing, like there's a cancer health fund, you know. But the problem with the fund is that most of the drugs that the fund covers are not available. So cancer patients still have to go out, source for money to buy these drugs. So my own advice and plea to the government is that they should get these pharmaceutical companies, make them, bring in through them on subsidized rate to remove the middlemen that makes it to be too expensive, so that our cancer patients, even if you're not treating freely, but let the drugs be affordable.
Ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to cancer treatment, and timing is very key, because the more you delay without doing anything, the more it spreads. So the best thing is get to the hospital and be praying, because when you pray, obviously the drugs will work, because most people will take drugs that will not work. So get to the hospital, get yourself checked, start treatment, just follow the doctor's instruction as you are praying.
However, over 200 women across all services are built to benefit from the program as the POA launches the utilization of cervical and breast cancer screening, a substantial step towards early detection, timely intervention, and ultimately saving lives. Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
And that's it on News Express, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using at Global TV NG at the handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. See you again. Good evening.